Hello and welcome to Matchday Minus Two with me, Dan Bates, here on LCFC TV, Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. Coming up on the show, we'll look ahead to that trip to Watford at the weekend. We'll exclusively announce February's goal of the month as well. But before all of that, we'll look back at what turned out to be a fantastic evening at King Power Stadium on Monday.
One over the top, Barnes on the chase. Pepe Reina's come a long way from goal, and Harvey Barnes has given Leicester City the lead. And Jamie Vardy strikes Leicester City's second goal of the game. And he's breaking into the penalty area, looks to pull it back to Barnes, it's blocked, it comes back to Vardy! Jamie Vardy at the double! Right to Albrighton. Vardy waits in, but it's Barnes arriving, and Barnes gets his second of the evening, and it really is raining goals for the Foxes now.
Yes, fantastic evening, wasn't it, on Monday, that 4-0 win over Aston Villa here at King Power Stadium. Now, before we hear from both goal scorers, Harvey Barnes and Jamie Vardy, we'll introduce our guests for this afternoon. It is, as ever, Gerry Taggart and Matt Elliott. Good afternoon, gents.
Afternoon, Bates.
Afternoon, Dan.
You've been away sunning yourself, Gerry, but you're back into the thick of it now, aren't you?
Can you tell that beautiful tan he's got?
Not one for tanning, as you well know, Matthew, with my pale Irish skin, but yeah. Was good to get back amongst the football and a great performance, especially back to their best, back to what we've seen for the majority of this season, and the result just followed on from that.
How pleased were you on Monday?
I think everybody was, there's been relieved, yeah, and a bit of pressure, relieved and elated. There's been a bit of pressure. There's again the mumblings going around the places that people aren't happy with the way the team are playing. We try and explain it to, the fans as much as we can, that, they have to expect that from a group that's so young and so inexperienced. But on Monday night, absolutely bang on with the performance.
I think with the results that had happened at the weekend, obviously with Leicester playing last match, put an extra pressure, didn't it, on the players, but they seemed to take that on brilliantly.
Yeah, it all came together, didn't it? I think Aston Villa were probably the perfect opponents for such a fixture at this stage of the season. But sooner or later, the chasing pack, if you like, were going to advance and close that gap and put it in a precarious situation. It happened over a period of time that they'd all been beating each other or dropping points, etc. And Leicester maintained that gap, didn't they, between themselves and ultimately fifth. It's that everyone's really looking at, fifth position. But all of a sudden, it was getting a little bit too close for comfort, and something needs to be done, sooner rather than later. And I say that was probably the perfect fixture on Monday night, proved to be the case.
Relatively nervy opening to the game, wasn't it, Gerry? Both sides had a few chances, but it's fair to say Villa gave Leicester a little bit of a helping hand, didn't they, with the first goal?
Yeah, but just before we go into that, I think, the two cup games that, Villa played against Leicester in the semi-final, they went with three at the back and sort of kept it tight, but they changed it round on Monday night and went with a back four. And for 10 or 15 minutes, it worked. And they were playing some nice football, Villa, some nice one-touch football, switching the play up from one side to the other. But then all of a sudden, Leicester just got into gear and overrun them, obviously with a little bit of help from Pepe Reina, who, I know Matt was saying that, he's had a bit of that, sort of calamity outlook to his game over his career. But for a keeper of that experience, he shouldn't really be making mistakes like that, in the twilight of his career. He showed on Monday night, he made some good saves by absolutely doing nothing and standing firm. But as I said, the first goal was a complete disaster for him.
Harvey Barnes also, though, with the mistake, deserves an awful lot of credit, Matt, doesn't he, here? Because the composure that he showed as well.
Well, I'll tell you who does. It's that man, Mark Albrighton, as well. He's done exceptionally well there to initiate the move, hasn't he? Good feet in the midfield area, good vision and awareness as well. But as you say, moving on to Harvey Barnes, good exploitation of the space there. You know, he's realised that Gilbert has got himself in a too far advanced position, run into that gap, well picked out by Albrighton, and then obviously Rayner comes out, and you know, it looks a formality. You could see it developing from a distance, couldn't you? And you think, what is he doing here? And Barnes had time to think, you know, assess it and think, well, okay, I'm going to nudge it past him, I'm going to go inside him or whatever. I'm going to try and... Then he has the quandary to whether to shoot from distance once he goes past Rayner, you know, try and force it in before the defenders get back into position. But he had the wherewithal about him to back himself, compose himself, have a touch inside, and ultimately it was a very good finish. Initially I thought it was slightly fortunate. I thought as Mings is going back and, you know, it's almost scrambled through his legs, but I think Harvey can claim that he's actually placed it between the back rushing defenders and found his spot very well, didn't he? And, you know, good finish from a very, very good player.
I think there was a little bit of a surprise that he didn't hit it with the first touch that he had after he'd taken it past Pepe Reina, Gerry, wasn't there? When the goal seemed open, but at that stage I guess the defenders would have got back, so it was actually clever to take it inside like he did.
No, absolutely. I think that's one of the few occasions where he's actually made the right decision and taken the extra touch and composed himself, because he had the time to look up, and the defenders are running back towards a goal. They weren't necessarily running towards Harvey. We have seen it in the past when Harvey has taken the extra touch, you know, and has been detrimental to him as far as his finishing is concerned. But on this occasion, it was exactly the right thing to do, because he had that little bit of extra time to look up and pick a spot, as Matt says.
So we had a little bit of time to think about it. Obviously, Jamie Vardy for his goal coming off the bench, the penalty, had a lot of time to think about that with what happened with the penalty and VAR having a look at it. Firstly, do you think it was a penalty?
Oof. Still making my mind up. I still need to have it explained to me exactly where the shoulder starts and begins in the context of a football game. But
as such,
do you know what? I think
it
is. I think
do you
it
think
is.
it's harsh?
The tags begs to differ, probably.
Well, I thought when I seen it, it hit him on the blue part of his shirt. So for me, that's the arm. And the top, the shoulder starts where the claret part of the shirt starts. So the top of your shoulder is exactly that. And that, for me, hit him on the arm. So for me, it was a penalty. And, you know, VAR for me and VAR haven't got on at all this season. But I actually think for once that VAR got it right. And also the other important thing you've got to remember is, was it a clear and obvious error from the referee? And the answer to that is no. It wasn't. So they were never going to overturn the referee's decision. So you take those two things into consideration, then the right decision was taken.
Good penalty, by the way. Officially his first touch in the game as well, wasn't it? There was one previous, but he was determined offside, so didn't count in the stats. You know, the pressure on it as well, but it didn't feel like that. You felt it was inevitable that Jamie was going to score, even though he's missed penalties previously, and he's having a bit of a barren run for him, and he's had the niggles and the injury, and he's had the baby, etc., and he's only just come on the pitch. You just felt that the time was right.
It was like a man possessed, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the tide has turned, sort of thing. That's the feeling you got. Hopefully that is the case. A good finish as well, by the way. He's obviously having a bit of banter with Pepe Reina there, and a bit of kidology going on, and he's gone to put him one way and put it down the middle. I think Reina, well, from when we were lip reading afterwards, it seems that Reina's challenged him and saying, I know you're going down the middle. So take some courage to actually go and do what the keeper's saying you're going to do.
I think he sensed from the sideline, Jamie, that if he got on, they'd have a field day. You know, I think sometimes when you come off the bench and when you're warming up down the line and when you're sat watching the game, you can sense that, you know, if I get on the pitch, I know I can make a difference.
And he certainly did.
And that was exactly what happened. So when he got on the pitch, as I said, he was like a man possessed, and he just carried that on. And again, the crowd were lifted when he came on. And then obviously he gets his reward with 2 goals.
Yeah, the second goal obviously a lot different to the penalty and the first one as well. But it all starts with Johnny Evans at the other end.
Oh yeah, well I said this was all about.
Here's your chance.
Yeah, this was all about tenacity from 2 players. And you watch here that this is a decent through ball. Johnny just reads it. He turns his back, which is probably not the right thing to do, but he's got enough time. 2 great challenges. Leicester win it back. So, you know, number one, tenacity from Johnny Evans to make sure they win that ball. And then this is just ridiculous from Jamie, you have to say. He's running straight at goal. He's looking for Harvey to get in the box. And it just drops to him, bang. I mean, that is class. sums up Jamie Vardy right there, that goal.
Because he had the ball for a while, Matt, it seems weird to say it's an instinctive finish, but it actually is, because the way that it comes back to him, he doesn't have much time to think about it, does he? He just knows exactly where the near post is.
Yes, certainly he'll claim that. It looks that way, doesn't it? It actually looks like an intentional drive at the near post, and he knows with the weather conditions as they were and the power of his strike that he's going to beat Rayner at near or far post. And hell of a finish. It happens so naturally for him, doesn't it? And that's not the sign of a striker who hasn't scored for however many games it is. Hopefully he's back in the zone now. But you talk about ridiculous days. The defending from Villa was atrocious. The more I look at it, the worse it gets. I mean, Harvey Barnes, when it came to him there, it was almost at a standstill. He was looking at the options thinking, right, there's too many defenders.
Well, it just kept backing off.
He's just thinking, we'll keep possession for initially. And then they dropped off. But Gilbert, who was marking Vardy, has gone to Barnes, which allowed Vardy to go. He should have been one of the centre-halves coming over. And I mean, they were unfortunate with the ricochet, but they caused their own downfall there. I mean, it was shocking defending all night, to be fair, from the right back, wasn't it? And Villa in general. But Leicester certainly capitalised, and hopefully that's got them back on track.
Yeah, and they got the fourth, the icing on the cake. Fair to say, probably the goal of the night.
For me, definitely. The move, everything about it. And again, if you start your little bit of interplay between Mendy, yes, he loses ball there, Tillmans, but straight away they're back on it, and that's what they were so good at all night. Picking up second balls, penning in Villa, not letting them get any kind of control of the game. And this run, fantastic, just runs across, bang. And the finish, I always say, when you're running towards the ball, all right, he's probably running at about half pace, but that's a decent way to pass that's come into the box there. And to get that absolutely spot on, you know what, it takes skill and ability.
That goal, Matt, is encapsulated what Leicester did so well in September, October, November, isn't it? During that fantastic run, that type of goal with the one-touch passing and the clinical finishing like that was a bit of a throwback to what they were like earlier in the season.
Very much so, yeah. I mean, Tielemans was involved on a couple of occasions, and that was a little confidence booster for him, because his form's been indifferent of late. I thought it was excellent the way he received it on the half turn, on the move, and kept the flow of the move going. Rather than touch, turn, look up, and then the impetus has gone out of it, out to Albrighton, and he puts it in early. But that's what Leicester need as well. I think it was quite interesting with Brendan Rodgers, hearing him talking about players getting in dangerous positions in the box. Sometimes Harvey, or whoever's on the right-hand side, Perez, Albrighton, Gray, whoever it is, they're on the periphery of things when the balls come into the box, and the onus is on just the main striker. And that they don't get enough bodies in there often enough of late.
Something you don't see enough of with Leicester, and a lot of teams, is the opposite wide man making runs across the near post, and that's exactly what Harvey's done there.
When you've only got one centre forward.
Yeah, you need the crisscross in the box. You can't just stand at the far post all the time hoping the ball's going to come to you. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of crisscrossing in the box. And that's exactly what Harvey's done there, and got his rewards again for it.
Yeah, Barnes near post, Vardy central, and then Maddison can tuck round the far stick or whatever. Bit of variation. It's not going to come off all the time, but you keep persisting with those runs, something will come your way sooner or later.
And it certainly did on Monday with a fantastic finish to boot from Harvey Barnes. We'll hear from him and Jamie Vardy after the break, when we'll also preview the Watford game at the weekend.
Sài Gòn.
We are an instinct that ignites action. We are a journey taking one step more. And we are the heart that beats as one. We are proud to be more. De Montfort University, Leicester.
Welcome back to Matchday Minus Two here on LCFC TV, Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. We look back at that fantastic win over Aston Villa on Monday here at King Power Stadium. So let's get some reaction from the tunnel on the evening.
When you come off the bench, you always want to try and make as good an impact as possible. And luckily tonight, the first two shots have both gone in. So yeah, over the moon with it.
Yeah, comprehensive win. Players worked so hard in the game. And then I thought once we got the first goal, then you seen the confidence in the team, and then the tempo and speed of our game increase. So yeah, very, very good. Worked ever so hard in the game. Didn't give much away from a defensive perspective, and looked very, very creative and looked like we could score a number of goals. So yeah, very pleased.
Yeah, no, very enjoyable night for myself and the team. You know, it's the first time I've scored 2 goals in a game, so for me, you know, obviously very happy with that. But I thought the team was a lot better today. Scrappy start to the game, but obviously got a goal just before half time, went in obviously in front, and then second half I thought we were very good. You know, put a lot of pressure on them and got the goals.
Harvey scored 2 outstanding goals. His running power and speed is always a threat, but the first goal he showed great speed initially to get away, and then his touch and finish was very good. And then the second one is what we've been encouraging him to do.
Can I imagine you were begging for one more chance? That's 99 Premier League goals now.
Yeah, I saw something earlier saying on this day, so many years ago, I had my 100th goal. So if it had been done tonight, then that would have been brilliant. But it wasn't to be. So like I said, get back on that training field and look forward to next week.
That was, of course, the goal scorers on the evening, Harvey Barnes and Jamie Vardy, with manager Brendan Rodgers. Gerry nodding along after listening to those guys, and particularly the praise that Brendan heaped on Harvey Barnes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, he's stuck with Harvey through most of the season, it's fair to say, because he obviously sees the talent that he has and the potential that he has. And it is fair to say that Harvey, you know, at times has been a little bit up and down, but, you know, when you're a young player, all you want is the confidence from your manager to say, I'm sticking with you. And Brendan's done that, and Harvey's repaying that faith that Brendan has shown in him. Because we all know that he has the potential, you know, to go on to bigger and better things and there's a lot more to come from Harvey. His decision making on the ball in those critical areas. But on Monday night, he was absolutely spot on. So it's a good management decision from Brendan. And Harvey Barnes has gone out and repaid the faith that Brendan has showed in him since the beginning of the season.
Matt, from a Jamie Vardy point of view, obviously now, as we heard there, that's 99 Premier League goals for the number 9, and he'd not scored since December. So how important do you think those 2 goals are for him and this season as a whole?
Well, they're more important for the team, I think, than Jamie himself. It's just a matter of time when he gets back on the scoring trail, isn't it? You know, by his own standards, been a bit off key, but he hasn't had as many chances as he did earlier in the season. There's a multitude of reasons that you can, you know, put towards his lack of goals over recent times, but it was never going to last too long. And against opponents like Aston Villa was the ideal time for him. You know, we spoke earlier about his, you know, his concentration and his application to convert the penalty, his first touch of the game, and hopefully he's back on the trail. But you know, you certainly wouldn't back against it, would you?
No, hopefully so. Defensively, Gerry, obviously a clean sheet for Leicester, and one of those players was starting only his 2nd Premier League game, of course, James Justin, but you were incredibly impressed.
Phenomenal. I was down to give him man of the match, but only young Harvey, obviously with the 2 goals, had to take it. But I thought every loose ball that dropped down there, he was straight on to it. You know, he was cool under pressure, and this is a great example of it. You know, big high ball, you've got to be absolutely spot on with your first touch. He was. And going forward as well, he did play a bit of a supporting role, but every now and again, look at this, bang, he's away. I know Kelly got a block on it here, but that just showed that, the willingness for him, he's obviously been watching Ben Chilwell and thinking, right, when I get forward, when Harvey gets the ball, I've got to get forward and get the overlaps in when I can. And I thought more importantly, defensively, absolutely spot on.
But he's 2-footed as well, Matt, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you're just seeing evidence of that now, but almost genuinely 2-footed as well. That's not a bad ball either.
And it's an early ball.
Yeah.
One touch, bang. He doesn't have to look up, he just puts it into a good area.
Yeah, left foot, right foot. Decent claims for a penalty there. I think ultimately it was the right decision. He just got a tiny nick on it, didn't he? I wonder if James might have been able to keep his foot in there and carried on, because the ball didn't travel too far away. But he's got everything that fullback needs, hasn't he? He's composed, as Gerry says, left or right back, equally comfortable. Although I think his most orthodox position is on the right hand side. He's powerful. He's a supreme athlete. He's probably, I don't know, he's got to be on par with anyone else in the squad in terms of athletic ability. Learning the game keen, good technically, positive in his approach. There isn't much he hasn't got.
And he's proactive. He's not reactive. So when the ball's going forward and there is a challenge, what impressed me about him was he was always trying to read where the ball was going to land. And when he made that decision, he was always on there in a flash. Whereas a lot of players, they'll react to situations. He was proactive in a lot of situations.
We don't know what the situation obviously is with Ben Chilwell's injury yet. Brendan Rodgers obviously has got his press conference to follow this, so you can follow updates obviously on our social media on that. But Brendan will know now that James Justin can put in performances like that. So if needs be, on Saturday he can go in and he can be trusted.
100%. Yeah, he probably knew, stroke suspected that anyway, but he just had confirmation on Monday, didn't he? Yeah, but you've seen him play in the Carabao Cup on a few occasions. He's been highly impressive, in particular for me against Luton, his old team, of course. But I was sat there in the stands, and he was up and down that right-hand flank, right in front of us, and all night long, like a train. And it was an absolute pleasure and quite an eye-opener to watch him. He was very impressive. And he's backed that up with subsequent performances as well. He's a threat going forward. He gets himself in advanced positions. And I think on the night, on Monday, he went a big way to helping Harvey Barnes, because they were a threat in tandem. It wasn't just, go on, Harvey, you deal with that. It was the two of them, the defenders, El Mohammadi, wasn't it, and Gilbert.
And Gilbert's no slide quite like Gilbert.
Yeah, you actually mentioned him before the game, didn't you? He struggled on Monday, but
he did big time.
But that's the level that those two, and Ben Chilwell when he plays, they're playing on top of the game. That's how big a handful they are.
Yeah. Whether or not James Justin plays on Saturday or not, Gerry, how do you see Brendan Rodgers and Leicester approaching the game?
Against Watford, I think obviously after Monday night, and also seeing that Chelsea have had a bit of form, Manchester United hit some proper form at the right time, and so it's all about momentum, just trying to keep the momentum. So we'll go there, obviously paying the respect, because Watford, have pulled themselves out of the bottom three. They've had a decent run of results, so a little bit topsy-turvy, winning against Liverpool and then losing against Palace. But I think Brendan will go there fancying his chances of winning the game. And probably, needs, I'm not saying he needs to win, but I think for peace of mind, for everybody, they probably need to get back on a little mini run next 2 or 3 games, pick up points, winnable games to come.
And he'll have obviously seen the results as we all did at the weekend. So winning, as we've already talked about on Monday, was vitally important. So that should give him, hopefully, the confidence going into the game on Saturday.
Yeah, listen, things change quickly, don't they? Because there's been an air of tension over the last 2-3 weeks, but that's all gone out the window for now because of one result. Now, an off-colour performance and a poor result on Saturday puts a different reflection on it again. But
I think that's the case of the performance. If they play anything like they played on Monday night,
yeah,
the result will follow. So I wouldn't even worry about the result. For Brendan, it's all about replicating the performance on Monday night.
I think you respectfully remind the players of why Watford are down where they are. Yes, they beat Liverpool. Yes, they've turned it round to a level under Nigel Pearson, and they're a better team than their early season form suggests. I think most people thought that even at the time, but they're still in and around the relegation area. You know, all of a sudden, that performance has restored some confidence, without a doubt, for the Leicester players, and go there. Whereas before that Villa game, there was an air of trepidation maybe about going to Watford, and they've beaten Liverpool 3-0, but remind the players that they lost to Crystal Palace a week since that. And Leicester have gone the opposite direction. All of a sudden there's an air of positivity. So, listen, if Leicester play to their capabilities, they've got every chance of coming away with the points.
Well, let's hope so, of course. Leicester travel to Watford on Saturday. It's the early kick-off in the Premier League. As ever, you can listen to all the action on LCFC Radio on Saturday. On Monday evening, Extra Time returns to LCFC Radio. Gerry Taggart there in his headphones. He'll be back again on Monday evening alongside Tony Cotty and Ewan Roberts. And following us immediately are the under-23s. They play Manchester City in their hunt for the PL2 title. Right, before we go then, guys, and before we announce the goal of the month for February, can we have your predictions for the game on Saturday, please?
Right, I was a bit outlandish on Monday. I went for 2-0. I thought I was going to get it right. Barnes first as well, but obviously doubled up the score. Listen, it's going to be a tough game, but Leicester have got enough for me again. 2-1.
2-1.
Both of you going the same?
Yeah.
2-1. Let's hope you're right then. On Saturday, right, all that's left now is to announce February's goal of the month for Leicester City. It came in that pulsating 2-2 draw with Chelsea, so congratulations to Ben Chilwell.
Back to Chilwell, down the line to Harvey Barnes. Barnes into Vardy, lovely football to Chilwell. Chilwell clips a cross up, and it's going to miss everybody, is it? No. Ricardo keeps it in play. Tielemans back into the box, comes there. Chilwell who scores! Ben Chilwell scores! And Leicester lead in a massive, massive game. 3-point here will strengthen their grip on one of the Champions League places. It was scrappy, but Chilwell's finished, and from behind, Leicester City lead.